Hi, I'm Daniele Giunchi presenting our paper Tuning Immersion and Performance with Adaptive Generative Music in VR. We explore what happens when virtual reality background music is not just decorative, but adapts in real time using a generative system, and whether that adaptation changes both the user experience and the objective motor performance. Music shapes atmosphere, attention, and arousal, and it can subtly guide behavior. In VR, this may matter more. Users are embodied, tracking with their head and hands, and performing motor action under high cognitive load. That means audio can support focus, but it can also distract if it pushes arousal too far. At the same time, modern AI music tools make continuous, real-time soundtrack adaptation feasible without authoring large music libraries. So the question we ask is, does adaptive generative music change presence and performance in VR? Research on fixed music suggests it can increase emotion and immersion, but effects are not always consistent. A recurring theme is musical fit. If the score matches the context, it can support engagement, but if it is too intense or mismatched, it can distract attention. This is especially relevant for precise tasks where eye arousal may reduce fine control. In VR, reported present effects of audio also vary across contexts. Classic adaptive game music is usually built from pre-authored assets using segment switching or layer mixing. This can be effective, but it is asset heavy and requires careful transition design and large music libraries. Generative AI approaches instead enable conditional music generation, guided by text prompts or effect labels, making iteration much faster. However, evaluations in VR often emphasize subject experience, and fewer studies report objective motor metrics such as accuracy or movement time. We also need experiments that clearly isolate adaptivity from simple having music present in the scene. We built a controlled VR archery task from MetaQuest 3 in Unity. Archery is convenient because it is repeatable and yields objective metrics like accuracy score and aiming time. Each participant completes two conditions. In the fixed condition, the soundtracks remain constant. In the adaptive condition, the soundtrack progresses through 4 phases as arrows run out, increasing musical tension at 20, 15, 10, and 5 arrows. Here is our pipeline. Unity outputs gameplay state, mainly how many arrows remain. We use Ubiq-Genie as middleware to route these events to external services, keeping computation off the headset and making the system modular. A Python controller drives Google MusicFXDJ and manages phase changes. Because there is no official API, the controller interacts with the tool and maintains continuous playback in the browser. Finally, the generated audio is streamed back into the headset so participants hear a seamless soundtrack synchronized with gameplay. And here you can see the full pipeline. Our music design uses a single orchestral kinematic palette for coherence. We define 4 prompts that run from calm and focused to moderate tension to urgency and finally climatic intensity. To keep the manipulation reliable, we only switch at fixed threshold, 15, 10, and 5 arrows remaining. Prompts are preloaded and we transition via blending and crossfades to avoid noticeable gaps or latency. We conducted a within-subject study with 22 participants. After consent and calibration, they completed a short practice block with no music to learn the interaction. They then performed 2 20-shot blocks, one with the fixed music and one with adaptive music, in counterbalanced order to reduce ordering effect. After each block, participants rate presence, immersion, focus, control, stress or tension, emotional impact, and comfort. In Unity, we logged shot level performance, accuracy score from 1 to 10, and aiming time from preparing the shot to release. Our hypotheses were adaptive music increased presence, adaptive music increased tension, and performance follows an inverted U across phases. Here is a sample video with the upper part that is the interface of MusicFXDJ and the lower part is the current visualization in the headset. Subjective results favored the adaptive condition for immersion. Participants reported stronger presence and more being there and higher emotional impact. They also reported higher focus and perceived control in the adaptive condition. As intended, adaptive music increased perceived tension and stress. Interestingly, fixed music slightly increased confidence, even when objective measure did not always improve. Comfort did not meaningfully differ, suggesting that adaptation itself did not reduce comfort or increase discomfort. For accuracy, we found a significant interaction between condition and phase. In the adaptive condition, accuracy improves and peaks at phase 2, moderate tension, then declines as the soundtrack becomes more urgent and dense in later phases. In the fixed condition, an accuracy improves more steadily across the block. This pattern is consistent with the arousal performance curve, where moderate arousal helps and excessive arousal harms fine motor control. Aiming time show a similar pattern. With adaptive music, participants aim faster in phase 2, suggesting improved efficiency at moderate tension. But in the later phases, as intensity becomes high, aiming time increases, participants slow down, likely due to pressure and attentional load. Together with accuracy, this suggests music intensity shift, the speed-accuracy balance across phases. Overall, adaptive generative music can act like a behavioral feedback channel. It increases presence and emotional salience, but it also changes motor behavior. The key design point is calibration. Moderate tension can sharpen focus and improve performance, while excessive tension can push users into stress overload and reduce precision. For designers, this means tuning intensity to task demands and the cost of errors. High escalation may be great for excitement-driven experiences, but for precision tasks like training or rehabilitation, you likely want bounded intensity and careful pacing. We also recommend smooth transitions to avoid attention breaks, and personalization, adapting trajectories to skill and stress tolerance, potentially using opt-in physiological signals. To conclude, we introduced the VR task and practical pipeline for real-time adaptive generative music and evaluated it with both self-report and objective performance metrics. Adaptive music increased immersion and emotional impact, but also increased tension. Performance followed an inverted U cross phases, with benefits at moderate tension and cost-high tension. The takeaway is that adaptive generative music is a powerful lever in VR. Use it carefully and calibrate it to the task. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more details, we suggest you to check our paper Tuning Immersion and Performance with Adaptive Generative Music in VR.